This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. Welcome aboard. The longest government shutdown in history is now history.
The bill is passed.
The impasse ending late last night when President Trump signed into law House-approved legislation to reopen the government.
This was a no-brainer. This was an easy extension, but they didn't want to do it the easy way. They had to do it the hard way, and they look very bad, the Democrats do.
The president accused Democrats of extortion and called on Republicans to end the filibuster so something like this doesn't happen again. Democrats lost their fight over health care subsidies, and it could cost Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer his job. Political pundit Josh Holmes.
No question, the Democratic Civil War is upon us. Chuck Schumer is the absolute epicenter of this. If you're in a party leadership position and you choose to abandon the leadership component of the job in pursuit of the good graces of a radical fringe element within your party, pretty soon you're neither going to have leadership nor the support of anybody in your party. And I think that's where Chuck Schumer finds himself now.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is now being courted by some Democrats to mount a primary challenge against Schumer. In next year's midterms, AOC won't say whether she's interested.
This problem is bigger than one person, and it actually is bigger than the minority leader in the Senate.
A handful of House Democrats have called on Schumer to resign after the Senate failed to extend those Obamacare tax subsidies. Syndicated talk show host Hugh Hewitt says it's no secret the far left has been trying for some time to chuck Schumer.
It never made a lick of sense from the beginning because there was no way that the Republicans were going to try and bail out Obamacare. So when the government shut down, there was no path out. They went into a box canyon. So it worked for one person in the Congress, AOC. And their party's got not just a divide, it's got a chasm.
With the government back open, Senate Republicans have promised to take up health care next month. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says they better.
Either Republicans finally decide to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits this year, or the American people will throw Republicans out of their jobs next year.
President Trump predicts it's the Democrats whom the American people will blame for needlessly shutting down the government. He claims the month-and-a-half shutdown cost the economy $1 trillion. Things are looking up at the airport following an end to the shutdown. NBC's Sam Brock is at Newark International in New Jersey.
Look, when was the last time we got to say this? There is reason for optimism today. Those government-mandated flight reductions have been capped at 6%. Now, fewer than 1% of flights are actually delayed, so you don't see those long lines. And with Thanksgiving and the holiday looming right around the corner, the big question right now, when will air travel return to normal?
31 million Americans are expected to fly over the Thanksgiving holiday. President Trump signs an executive order at the White House this afternoon aimed at supporting kids in foster care. It's part of First Lady Melania Trump's Fostering Our Future program. The executive order intended to help youth transition out of foster care and into adulthood by expanding education, housing, and career opportunities. Chanley Painter at Fox News.
According to the National Foster Youth Institute, only about half of foster children finish high school, and just 3 to 4% of former foster children obtain a college degree.
There are right now in America 400,000 children enrolled in the foster care system. Growing fallout today over newly released Jeffrey Epstein emails and the connection they may have to the president. The U.S. House plans to vote next week on whether to release all the files related to the late accused sex trafficker. NBC's Haley Jackson.
It's uncomfortable for President Trump, for this White House. He clearly, based on his own words, he doesn't want to talk about it, but he's going to have to, especially over the course of the next couple of weeks here.
President Trump admits he and Epstein were friends in the early 2000s, but that friendship ended long before any of these child abuse allegations surfaced. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Jeffrey Epstein was a member at Mar-a-Lago until President Trump kicked him out because Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile and he was a creep.
Epstein killed himself in jail in 2019 before he could go to trial. The Trump administration is preparing an announcement soon on the president's plan to tackle the affordability crisis. Why do things cost so much? Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent.
We inherited this affordability mess. It was the worst inflation 40, 50 years. One of the worst in the nation's history.
Bessent says substantial announcements are coming in the next couple of days on items not grown in this country. Things like coffee or bananas. He promises the American people will see lower prices early next year after predicting that inflation will cool and wages will rise. The job site Indeed says the number of seasonal hirings is down 15% from last holiday season. Economist Corey Staley says UPS, Macy's, and Target haven't made any job postings public.
So we're seeing a lot of the broader trends in the labor market being reflected in this year's holiday hiring.
He adds many retailers are cutting, not adding workers. A Deloitte survey shows Americans plan to cut their holiday spending by about $200 from last year. After more than 230 years of circulation, the U.S. Mint pressed its final penny yesterday, ending productions expected to save U.S. taxpayers over $55 million. You can still use pennies as legal tender, but it's going to take a while for them to disappear. There are currently about 300 billion pennies in circulation today. The last U.S. coin to be discontinued, by the way, was the half-cent piece back in 1857. Still to come on the Noon Report for Thursday. All electric on hold in New York. A closer look at the PA budget and what's real and what's not. The growing influence of AI.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams, tracking a few showers this afternoon. I'll be back with the complete forecast. That's up in about 10 minutes.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Kevin. Let's check the stories making news across New York and Pennsylvania. New York State is pausing implementation of the All-Electric Buildings Act. It was supposed to take effect January 1st, but that will not happen. Some have called it the gas stove ban. It applies to newly constructed buildings under 7 stories tall, including private homes. Governor Hochul says the law's on hold until there's a decision on its constitutionality in the courts. Opponents argue the all-electric mandate will price people out of homes and drive more businesses out of New York. The 4-month late Pennsylvania state budget does not include recreational marijuana, something the pro-family forces were hopeful would be left out of the final spending package. It does include tax breaks for the poor and elimination of a controversial carbon tax that could have sent home energy prices skyrocketing. Senate Majority Leader Joe Pippin says it's amazing how politicians were able to find revenue they didn't think they had. He calls it
couch cushions of bureaucracy. So much money that had been hidden or lapsed that we were able to tap into.
The budget was due at the end of June and has a price tag of just north of $50 billion. The state of New York is sending more than $500,000 in emergency aid to food pantries at SUNY's 30 community colleges. The funding will help these colleges restock shelves and support SUNY students who struggle with food insecurity. Well, if you're seeing more deer on the road, there's a good reason why. Family Life's Brian Query.
It's peak deer mating season in Pennsylvania, and PennDOT says that means more deer are crossing the roads and more collisions are happening. It's called the rut. Deer are not looking out for drivers, they're looking out for other deer. PennDOT is warning motorists to stay alert, especially during dawn and dusk. October to December is the time of year motorists are most likely to hit a deer. Officials say if you see a deer in the road, don't slam on your brakes. That can make things worse. Instead, stay steady and brake firmly while keeping control of the car. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, good advice there. Thank you, Brian. A Watertown, New York assemblyman is garnering support for more nuclear power in New York's North Country. Republican Scott Gray hosted a public forum on nuclear energy yesterday at Jefferson Community College.
It is construction jobs to build the plant. It is ongoing jobs that are associated with operating the plant. And then there is significant offtake or potential for economic development.
Gray says nuclear energy would be a huge economic shot in the arm for New York's North Country. Governor Hochul proposed construction of a nuclear power plant in western New York earlier this year. It's been 15 years since any nuclear power plant has been built anywhere in these United States. Our early batch of wintry weather this week had a lot of folks scrambling to get snow tires on their vehicles. Auto shop owner Roger Forehand at Big 4 Tire in East Syracuse telling WSYR,
now's the time. 80% of the cars we work on right now, it would be tires. Normal business in the summer months, in the spring, it'll be 50-50.
Motorist Russell Green among those getting his treads replaced.
The weather can be pretty bad with lake effect and everything, so I don't take any chances, and it does make a big difference.
Yeah, those tires make all the difference. Experts say while all season tires do a decent job on snowy roads, it's those dedicated winter treads that tend to offer the best traction. New guidelines on artificial intelligence are now in place in New York. They mandate chatbots identify themselves as not being human and requires them to identify suicidal ideations in AI users. Governor Hochul says New York will be a place where AI can flourish, but not at the expense of public safety. And a new survey shows most people cannot tell if the music they are listening to comes from humans or AI.
The polling firm Ipsos had 9,000 people in the U.S. and 7 other countries listen to 2 songs made with AI and 1 made by humans. 97% could not tell which was which.
Dust on the wind, boots on the ground.
In June, the band Velvet Sundown went viral on Spotify, only to confirm a month later its songs were generated by AI.
All sounds the same to me. That report from Michael Wallace in Washington. We've got sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob, it was a unanimous decision yesterday. In his first full season in the major leagues, Pirates ace Paul Skeens won the Cy Young Award. You know, it used to be that wins was a big factor in who won this award, but that has changed, and rightly so. It's changed to statistics that show off the individual performance of the hurler. Skeens was 10-10 on the season, but he was baseball's only starting pitcher who had a sub-2 ERA at 1.97. And Skeens is the 3rd youngest pitcher to have a sub-2 ERA and at least 200 strikeouts behind Dwight Gooden and Vida Blue. In the American League, Tarek Skubal won the award for the 2nd straight year. He is the first American League pitcher to do that since Pedro Martinez did it in 1999 and 2000. On to the NBA. The Knicks are no longer unbeaten at Madison Square Garden. The Magic came into town and dominated New York 124-107. Jalen Brunson scored 31, but the Knicks' 5-game winning streak is over. Other winners on the hardwood: the Hornets, Pistons, Celtics, Cavs, Rockets, Blazers, Warriors. Steph had 46. Suns, Thunder, Hawks, and Nuggets, who got 55 points from Nikola Jokic. On the ice, the Sabres had a 2-goal lead against Utah. But when you give up 4 goals in the final period, your chances of winning are slim to none. The Mammoth won this one 5-2. The Rangers rolled past the Lightning in Tampa 7-3. Will Cooley and Vincent Trocheck both lit the lamp twice. Artemi Panarin dished out 4 assists in the win. In Philadelphia, the Flyers lost in overtime 2-1 to the Oilers. The Devils won their game in overtime overtime 4-3 against the Blackhawks. That is a look at sports.
All right, Randy, thank you very much. Still to come on the Noon Report for Thursday. Uncle Sam back in business. More Epstein emails and Christmas contest in Friendship, New York.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Susan Abu Hawa is a Palestinian activist and writer whose bio on X states, quote, indigenous daughter of Jerusalem with receipts unlike the colonizers. On October 27th, she posted the following on the platform, and I quote, Hollywood's brainwashing is in full force. The new TV series on Prime called House of David is meant to imply that the 70-year-old Jewish Zionist settler colony in Palestine actually has ancient roots. These people are parasites, end quote. Well, this claim that modern-day Jews have no ties or claims to the land of Israel and that Zionists are only colonizers of Palestinian land is becoming more common, even though the archaeological and historical evidence for the existence of ancient Israel is beyond dispute. For example, the Arch of Titus in Rome celebrates the Roman defeat of the Jews in AD 70, events that were documented at the time by Jewish historian Flavius Josephus, as well as others. Nearly every book of the Old Testament, of course, tells of the 12 tribes of Israel and of their descendants in that region of the world. The New Testament also describes Jesus of Nazareth as a Jew who lived in Galilee, Judea, and Jerusalem. There are ancient inscriptions from Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt that attest to the existence of ancient Israel. The earliest being the Merneptah stele, which dates to 1208 BC and was written in Egyptian hieroglyphics. It described a pharaoh's victory over the Israelites and is now housed in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. There's also, of course, the Tel Dan inscription that was from the 9th century BC, found recently in northern Israel and commemorates the king of the house of David. And countless other inscriptions in Hebrew also further confirm that modern-day Israel is founded on the territory of ancient Israel. And there's also ample evidence of the Jews living in the region throughout the Christian era, with one exception. In AD 135, the Roman Emperor Hadrian banned Jews from Jerusalem due to their repeated rebellions against the Romans. After the Muslim conquest of the city in 638, the Jews were invited back by Caliph Umar, who also invited them to pray on the Temple Mount. By the 9th century, between 200 and 500 Jewish families were concentrated in the Jewish quarter of the city. During the capture of Jerusalem during the First Crusade of 1099, the Jews in the city were massacred and banned from re-entering, though they were later allowed to live in the surrounding villages. When Saladin recaptured Jerusalem in 1187, he invited the Jews to return. The Jewish presence remained throughout the rest of the Middle Ages, though with increasing restrictions on their freedoms. With the rise of the Ottomans and the recapture of Jerusalem in 1517, Jews were granted more freedom. Multiple waves of immigration into the region followed, and the Jewish population especially grew in the 19th century. In fact, according to Ottoman census records, there were about 2,000 Jews in Jerusalem in 1800, or about 25% of the population of the city. By 1900, that number had increased to 35,000 Jews, or 65% of the population of that city. There are also 150,000 Jewish tombstones on the Mount of Olives from the Ottoman period. When Ottoman rule ended in 1914, there were about 45,000 Jews in Jerusalem. The evidence is simply abundant of the ancient kingdoms of Israel and Judah, of the nearly continuous Jewish presence in the Holy Land, and of the links between modern Jews and ancient Israelites. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you much. Let's head outside. Mr. Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life weather forecast. The call for this afternoon. We'll have some sun at times in parts of Pennsylvania, but clouds will still win out. And across western and central New York, rather cloudy, a couple of rain and snow showers, high temps 40s. Tonight, partly cloudy in much of Pennsylvania, mostly cloudy, a couple of rain and snow showers in New York. Low temperatures tonight near 30, high temperatures tomorrow in the lower 40s.
All right, Kevin, thank you for that. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm your host, Bob Price. Here's what's happening Thursday, November 13th, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history, ended last night when President Trump signed a House funding bill. Correspondent Ryan Nobles is on Capitol Hill.
Congress has finally managed to find its way out of the wilderness after 43 days. The final vote to end this gridlock passed by a narrow margin in the House. In the end, Democrats did not have the votes to prevent the bill from being passed, but vowed to continue fighting for health care reform.
The president accused Democrats of extortion by insisting health care subsidies be a part of the conversation to reopen the government. Senate Republicans have promised to take that up next month. This latest funding bill will keep Uncle Sam solvent through the end of January. The legislation signed by the president restores SNAP benefits and reinstates pay for hundreds of thousands of furloughed federal workers. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Byrne.
It will still take a few days for things to kind of get back to normal. It's still going to take a few days for people to get their paychecks that they are owed. A big part of this legislation is reversing all those firings, but also making sure that people are paid back to October 1st when this all began.
Aviation consultant Chris Van Cleve has an eye on the sky at the airports today, which have also been impacted by the shutdown.
Airline sources tell me it'll take 24 to 48 hours to ramp back up to full service, and that's in large part because they are canceling flights a day or two in advance to give flyers certainty.
31 million of us U.S. expected to take flight for the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday. The Trump administration says it will be working in the coming days to address the affordability crisis many Americans are facing right now. Kevin Hassett is executive director of the National Economic Council.
The fact is that for the typical family, when they went to the grocery store when President Trump took office, they would fill the typical grocery bags with about $400 worth of stuff. And that same amount of stuff after Joe Biden's 4 years cost almost $525.
Hassett says when President Biden was in the White House and Democrats controlled Congress, the typical American family lost $3,400 worth of their purchasing power. He says since President Trump took office, folks have gained about $1,200 of those dollars back. Congress will be voting next week on a Democratic effort to release all the Jeffrey Epstein files. The Democrats argue these newly unveiled Epstein emails may implicate President Trump in a sex trafficking ring. CBS's Bradley Blackburn.
In an April 2011 message that appears to be sent to his convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein wrote, quote, "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him."
The president says he and Epstein were friends before they had a falling out in the early 2000s, long before Epstein faced any charges. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong.
Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide in jail in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. His girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, is already serving a 20-year sentence for aiding in that operation. The Transportation Department is cracking down on states that issue commercial driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says if you can't read English, you should not be behind the wheel of a big rig.
The process for issuing these licenses is absolutely 100% broken.
An illegal immigrant from California is in court today after police say he made an illegal U-turn in Florida, killing a family of 3. California has consequently suspended the driver's licenses of some 17,000 illegal immigrants. They're calling it the Red Cup Rebellion. Thousands of unionized Starbucks baristas are on strike today at more than 500 stores in 25 cities nationwide. They're demanding better pay, better work schedules, and better benefits. President Trump signs an executive order this afternoon on foster care. Correspondent Monica Nelson.
The signing ceremony will take place at the White House with First Lady Melania Trump. The executive order is reportedly focused on support for youth in foster care who age out of the system and enter adulthood. Foster families, child welfare organizations, and those who were in the foster care system will also be at the signing. Earlier this year, Trump declared May as National Foster Care Month. I'm Monica Nelson.
The first lawsuit linked to infant botulism has been filed by a Kentucky couple after their 4-month-old baby got sick from consuming baby formula. The formula in question, made by ByHeart Whole Nutrition. Dr. Stephen Abrams at the University of Texas says botulism can weaken an infant's neurological system.
They can't move as much. They get constipated. Eventually, if it's severe, which can happen especially in babies, they'll stop breathing.
ByHeart's recalled the formula, which has sickened 15 babies in a dozen states since August. This is the first known outbreak of infant botulism tied to baby formula. And after 230 years, the very last penny has been minted in Philadelphia. Correspondent Jesse Mitchell.
Many big chains from Kroger to McDonald's are encouraging electronic payments and exact change, or they say they'll round cash purchases to the nearest nickel.
There are 300 billion pennies still in circulation today. By the way, the last U.S. coin to be discontinued was the half-cent piece back in 1857. You're tuned in to the Noon Report, a Thursday edition on Family Life.
This is Faith Under Fire. We take you straight to the voices on the front lines of religious battlegrounds. I'm news anchor Sarah Harnish, and with me today, facilitator of the group What God is Doing, Casey Jones. We're talking getting back to the root of Christmas. Tell me about the contest that you're running in Friendship, New York, Casey.
What God is Doing in Friendship New York Alliance of participating churches decided to develop a contest called The Origin of Christmas, the Birth of Jesus Christ. So it centers upon the birth of Jesus Christ rather than all of the secular types of lighting contests and lighting displays that are going on all over the area.
How did it start?
What happened was that we actually got the idea from a organization that was going to have a secular type contest, a broader contest, and we offered to be involved in that, and they wanted to keep it to what they were doing. And so as a result of that, we decided that we would set up our own and provide cash prizes in order to allow people to focus upon what the real origin of Christmas rather than all of the secularism that has occurred and keeps increasing every year.
It's pretty incredible because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have these nativities well lit, visible from the street all over Friendship, New York. I mean, what an incredible contest to be running. And the meaning behind the message is so powerful, it's getting back to the root of Christmas, just like you just said.
The origin of Christmas is so important because we keep forgetting about what it's all about. And we want to bring that back, showing what God is doing and how He's working in not only Friendship, but Allegheny County and beyond. So often we forget.
I love the heart behind the contest because it's nativity evangelism. It impacts the entire region. And now people traveling through Friendship are going to see Jesus everywhere. And maybe somebody listening to this interview on the road will start their own contest, their nativity lighting contest in their own town. It's gotten people to look up.
The problem that we have or that we see is that there's so much secular material on the market and so many display materials. It's all focused upon Santa Claus. It's all focused upon this theme, that theme, and everything else that we don't know what kind of response we're going to get. In fact, when we put up our nativity scene last year, and it's a large nativity scene, it's a life-size, we had a hard time finding anyone that was producing them that we could use. And so as a result of that, we went around and around for probably a month trying to find something that was acceptable in order to even put up.
It's kind of sad, the place that we've gotten to, but these kinds of actions are what shift the dialogue and what change the focus for the people in the Christmas season.
Well, we hope so. In the work that we're doing, we do not want to just focus upon Friendship. What we do is try to establish some pilot projects, and then from that, we basically hope other people will steal them. But we think that there's a greater need for churches to be working together, Christian organizations to be working together with a focus upon the kingdom rather than on their own organizations.
Why does this matter so much to you? takes a lot of time and effort to organize not just a contest, but also the collaboration of churches in the Friendship area, in Allegheny County, to put this whole thing together is significant. Why do you continue to invest time instead of just going through the holidays in the way that we have been?
Well, I think that God has put that on my mind and on my heart. I think that the whole aspect of working together, doing things together, is really all about unity of the body. And we get so distracted about ourselves and so focused upon ourselves that we miss the opportunities that we have to reach out to others and to make a difference in the kingdom. And as a result of that, we're seeing a decline in the churches in populations and their attendance all over the place because people say, what am I getting involved in? Why do I want to go there? They're not doing anything. And so I'm not trying to be negative about this. I'm trying to be practical. But I think we have a real problem. We need to be welcoming people. We need to be inviting them in. We need to be showing them who Christ is. And to serve really as the hands and feet of Jesus. In order to do that, we need to step back and see what is it that we're really doing, how are we doing it, and are we doing it well?
Learn more on Facebook at What God is Doing in Friendship, New York.
Thank you very much, Sarah. The name of the program, Faith Under Fire. It comes your way Thursdays during the Noon Report or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We'll continue mired in some moist air and chilly air, and the result, we're going to find a few more scattered rain and snow showers over the next 24 to 36 hours, focused on western and central New York. Our friends in Pennsylvania see a little more in the way of sunshine breaking through that cloud cover at times. The weekend starts dry. Rain comes in by Saturday night. Chillier after that with rain and snow showers later Sunday and Sunday night. The call for this afternoon, we'll have some sun at times in parts of Pennsylvania, but clouds will still win out. And across western and central New York, rather cloudy, a couple of rain and snow showers, high temps 40s. Tonight, partly cloudy in much of Pennsylvania, mostly cloudy, a couple of rain and snow showers in New York. Low temperatures tonight near 30, high temperatures tomorrow in the lower 40s.
Great work as always. Thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon, the words that trip us up the most. A new study from Unscrambler.com used Google searches to find out what words are mispronounced the most in the English language. And I'm going to try my best to say them right. The top three in descending order are: number 3, acai, spelled A-C-A-I. It's a fruit found in the Amazon. Number 2 on the list, Worcestershire sauce, a condiment used on steaks and burgers. Yeah, try spelling that one. And tops on the list for the year 2025, drum roll please, it's gyro, spelled G-Y-R-O, and that's a Greek dish made from seasoned meat. There you have it. The most difficult to say words in the English language. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, November 13th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.